So today I'm going to chat about feeling different or feeling weird or feeling like you're not like everyone else. I actually think that more people feel this way than you know. I think everybody thinks that they're a little bit weird in some way. But I suppose what I want to particularly focus on is perhaps those of us who really are statistically unconventional or really are pursuing things that when you tell other people about it, they sort of go, "Oh, really? Are you doing that?" If you do tell people in your life that you're doing YouTube, they're a bit like, "Oh, really? Let me see your videos." But particularly, so my YouTube contains Chutney, who is my stuffed animal. So my channel name is Sarah and Chutney, and this is Chutney. And so yeah, I do stories that I make up with my cuddly toys that I've been doing for 20 years and that I've been sharing online. The first question is, do you remember the first time you felt different from everyone else? Yes, I can. So thinking about school, and from the moment that I started school or even nursery, I never wanted to go to school. I was the child that used to cry with their mum every single day, screaming, grabbing onto their mum every single day. I think until I was around about 9 or 10. For me, school, the expectation of school, was that you conform in some way. That, sometimes you're in a class of maybe 30 children, and you kind of, in my experience or in my feeling, you're not really treated as an individual. You're treated as a group. And I think I really struggled with that as a child. I felt that if there was something I in particular needed or I in particular had a concern about or whatever, that it wouldn't be taken seriously, or I couldn't rely on the adults at school to provide me with my needs. And actually there were experiences that I did have at school where it was precisely the case. So it wasn't actually I had pretty good evidence for teachers kind of dismissing you and just wishing that you were like everyone else, and everyone else just goes in the morning, Sarah, why can't you just do that? Every day was a new fight. Every day was another day that I didn't want to go to school. I would sometimes get so upset and so worked up that I would be sick. And other kids would sort of look at me and be like, by sick, I mean vomiting. I used to vomit before school. I definitely felt that other people in the class, who in fairness to them were probably about 6 or something, 6 or 7, I definitely felt that they couldn't relate to what I was going to. They didn't understand it. And yeah, as I said, eventually when I was about 9 or 10, I stopped doing that. And why did I stop doing that? Well, because my shame about doing that grew larger. So my fear of, I suppose, what other people thought, I don't know, was worse than the idea of going to school. Yeah, I became ashamed about that. So instead, I suppose I just absorbed it. And the same with at high school. I didn't ever really want to be there. I didn't really ever feel like I really fitted in any kind of group. I felt in some ways that I maybe matured faster than some of the other children, or just had interests that they were not interested in. When I was quite young, I was quite interested in sort of the meaning of life or big questions like this, probably from the age of 11. And so I went through periods of sort of being very interested in religion and things like that. And other children in my class were still like, playing chase around the playground. And I was like, pondering if God existed. So, but yeah, that's the first time I knew I was different, because I was like, I don't want to be group with everyone else. And in fact, I used to put like little beads on my shoelaces, because you had to wear black shoes for school. And I didn't want to just wear black shoes, so I used to wear black shoes with like little beads on them to try to make them different from other people. I don't think it was sort of like an attention thing. It wasn't like I must be different because I must have attention. I think it was some way trying to assert that, like I have an identity and, I'm different from you, and that's fine. What kind of things made you feel weird or set apart from others? I think I felt that I couldn't really talk emotionally with people my age in terms of puberty or whatever. I was definitely the first of my friendship group, and so then when my friendship group did go through puberty, I was more of the kind of older sister, sort of teacher's parent kind of thing, guiding them, whereas no, I didn't really have a peer my age, I suppose, to go through it with me. I was instead sort of an advisor, which I also found value in, helping my friends when that happened. Going back to, I suppose, my channel and my thing with Chutney and my imaginary world. So I made my imaginary world when I was about 9, and I think that actually part of the reason why I created sort of the character of Chutney is I think that I wanted someone like me to play with, and actually her personality, I've come to understand, is very much like alike, but not identical to, like, a 9-year-old Sarah. Yeah, she just wants to like play and be like loud and boisterous and things like that. And I think that that's what I was like. But I was quite an interesting child because I think, yes, I had this kind of wanting to sort of perform or dance or tell stories and be silly and loud and quite outspoken, but and on the weekend, but then on a weekday be like vomiting and crying before school, which I can understand must have been confusing for people around me. But yeah, I think I wanted someone like me to get all my creative energy out and to play with and to draw things and film videos and stuff like that. And I didn't really have that. And I think that's partly why I made Chutney. Was being different something you tried to hide or explain growing up? I don't think I tried to hide it. Actually, I have a pretty good track record of being quite authentic and sticking to my values and things that I believed in. Obviously, I don't have a perfect track record with that kind of thing, but in general, I should be proud and give myself credit that in general in my life, I'm actually quite good at being true to who I am, being ready to be a bit different. Like, for example, I don't drink alcohol, and that's not any judgment on anyone who does. And it can be hard to go to a party, especially when people are younger and they're not necessarily as respectful of other people's choices, to go to a party and have other people try to encourage you to drink or sort of imply in some way that you're not getting involved. And actually, I've never had a problem with just being like, no thanks. Like, I'm just like, no, it doesn't really faze me. So when there's something that I feel quite strongly in, that's like a core value, I'm pretty good at not budging, actually. So I can be proud of that. Have you had moments where someone got you even a little? Yes, absolutely. When I first met my partner, in one of our first conversations, because I thought, I have nothing to lose, I've just met this guy, it doesn't matter what he thinks about me. I actually showed him Chutney, and there's actually a map that I drew of Chutasia, where Chutney is from, and I showed him the map of Chutasia as a sort of like, haha, look, I'm weird. And he actually wrote back and was like, oh, I have a stuffed animal too, and I also have a world that my stuffed animal comes from. And that was something that we bonded over because we'd never met other people who did that before. And he's really supportive of me doing my channel. He's really supportive of all my stories and stuff. How has the feeling of being different changed for you over time? Well, I think growing up and getting older and getting your independence and having your own place that you live, not having to go to school, being able to basically sort of, to some degree, pick who is in your life and who is around you helps a lot, because a lot of feeling different is the environment. And if you're in a bad environment, what did they say? Like, if you put this is not the quote, but I will, if you put a fish in a forest, it doesn't seem very good, but if you put a fish in a water, it makes sense. Whoa, that is not the metaphor thing. But you know what I mean? Like, if you judge a fish on its ability to live in the forest, you'll think that it's a really bad thing. Okay, no, well, anyway, I think you've understood what I'm trying to say. Your environment can really shape how you view yourself. And sometimes it's just you're in a bad environment. Don't think that you're the problem. I think other people are the problem. No, I think it's probably sometimes, reflect on your own actions and your own thoughts, etc. But be open-minded to the fact that if you feel very strange and life is a big struggle for you, it's possibly your environment, and you could think about some steps that you could take to alter or improve your environment to make it more suited to who you are. I think that's a big lesson about being different, is really thinking outside of the box about what you think life should be like. For example, I don't really like to go to the gym, but I need to exercise. So I literally just walk around my flat just for like an hour. And, if you look at like what normal people do or what normal people would recommend, they would probably think that's a bit strange. Just go to the gym and just go on a treadmill. Like, I don't want to. I'll just walk around my flat, whatever, or a lot of people like to wake up very early and they sort of shame people. I am a night owl. I can stay awake well into the night and I'm more productive in the night, but the whole of society seems set up for people who wake up early in the morning. Well, I don't want to wake up early in the morning, and I've done the best that I can to create a life which in general allows me not to wake up really early. So, embrace and don't try to force yourself to do things that you don't like. Lots of things that people sort of take for granted, that like, oh, well, in life we just have to do this. It's like, well, do you? I've seen people be like, oh, I'm not really interested in fashion or clothing or whatever, and then they just go and buy like a wardrobe of basically all of the same clothes. Fine, do it. Like, there's nobody makes the rules of life. So yeah, I think that's going to be my first video about feeling different. I have definitely not covered all of my experiences and everything that I think, but I think this is a good start, and hope to see you again. Bye bye.